Hey guys, my name is Marc Lescarbeau. I'm the owner and founder of Needlejig Tattoo Supply. We're starting a new series of videos. We want to keep our customers more informed as to what we're doing here at Needlejig and what's going on in our industry in general. Please join us on this journey. Take a moment to comment, share your ideas below. We will make every effort to read the comments, reply, or respond to any suggestions you may have. Thanks again. Okay, first a little bit about myself. I've been tattooing since 1992. I don't tattoo a lot anymore, just friends, family, and the occasional other tattooer. I've always been a bit of an artist, but I also am a bit of a nerd when it comes to math and science, so understanding engineering and production has always been something I'm definitely interested in. I consider myself to be a problem solver, and a lot of the products I used to buy back in the day from the few suppliers that were available definitely needed to be tweaked and upgraded a little bit, and so I found myself doing that way too often, in addition to creating my own ideas and my own products to make my life as a tattooer just a little bit easier, my day more productive and efficient. Because of my experience as a tattooer, it allows me to meet people at conventions, talk to them on their level, understand their problems, and hopefully present them with some solutions that might make their day more productive and efficient. In an effort to protect our craft, we go to great lengths to make sure that our products only end up in the hands of professionals. We make sure to vet all artists. Every first-time order that comes into our company, we research people, we look for them online, we call them, we contact them, we email them, whatever we've got to do to ensure that the products we sell are only going to licensed tattooers in a professional environment. Needlejig came about as a combination of my entire career's experiences. I was lucky enough to meet an awful lot of old-timers early on in my career who for some reason seemed to like me, share a lot of ideas with me. I want to say I think it was a conversation maybe back at Inkslinger's Ball in Hollywood with Rick Walters and Catfish Carl, where one of them first mentioned that old artists would use the curvature inside their fingernail to shape the front of their needle groupings, and it didn't mean a lot to me at the time, but I guess that thought stuck with me. Shortly after that, I actually made some needles like that myself and tattooed with them. It seemed that they tattooed a little bit easier, more consistent, I think faster heals, less skin trauma, and that was a very pleasant experience. At that point, the nerd in me took over, and I needed to know how and why this actually worked this way. So I went back to learning math and sciences, basic physics again, and started studying skin tension, experimenting with a lot of different radiuses. And I eventually found great radiuses for each different needle grouping size. At that point, I also owned a body joy called Captive Steel, so I had access to full machine shop, CNC equipment, things like that. And so I made some basic primitive needle jigs. These are the very, very, very first ones. These are 20 years old or so. I was really enjoying the way these were tattooing, and I started to wonder how many other people might have an interest in this. So I decided to take my primitive jigs and create one jig that has all the grouping sizes on it. I took that jig to Inkslinger's Ball in the tail end of the 90s because I'd already been working that show for years and I knew a lot of the people that were there. So I was at the show and I sat there all day Saturday and Sunday with a box of these on my table and a little ghetto sign and didn't sell one. I was frustrated. I woke up Sunday morning and I realized everybody else was busy and nobody knew what I had with me. So I picked up my box and I walked booth to booth, talked to every artist that would give me a minute and listen to my story, trying to explain the round mag theory that I had put into play. By the end of Sunday, I was back at my booth. I had roughly $1,000 in my pocket and sold most of the jigs. At that point, I knew I had something special. I just needed to find a way to communicate my ideas and my efforts to the other artists. It wasn't too long after me launching the jigs, maybe a year or two, but then artists no longer wanted to make their own needles. So a number of famous artists started to approach me, asking me if I would make their needles for them. I certainly did not have a desire to sit down and start soldering thousands and thousands of needles myself, so I looked into how big production was made. And this was way before everybody got 20 emails a week from some Chinese factory as to buying, you know, shit in a box. To be honest, I wasted a lot of time and money with a few factories that just couldn't produce decent quality stuff. They would send me great samples, I'd put in a large order, and I would get a pile of crap. Throw it away, start over. Eventually I did find a factory that I could communicate with. They were willing to work with me, use the top quality materials that I needed. I had to pay a little bit more for my needles because of this, and in addition to that, they had no idea what I wanted in the beginning, so all new fixtures and jigs needed to be made for production. A number of companies pretty shortly after that tried to copy the round mags, calling them curved mags, and most of them would put too much of a curvature on the needles, which, if you know anything about my round mag theory, that takes virtually the same problem that was there with the straight mag and just reverses it. When the curve on the needles is too great, it creates a very similar problem to a straight magnum. Your center needles penetrate too deep and your corner needles don't penetrate deep enough. You overwork the center areas and you get holidays in the outer edges. When you hear artists talking about not liking round magnums or curved magnums, it's basically because they were using needles that weren't made correctly. Their complaint is they don't get to use the corner needles, and when it's made properly, you have every function you do with a straight mag, except for you get better heels, more even saturation, and simply more efficiency. This is what happens when you try and copy a product, but you don't understand the science that went into the engineering and the design of it in the first place. Eventually, my growing clientele forced me into adding more inks, medical supplies, and a ton of other products, and eventually became a full-blown tattoo supply company. Hired my first employee in 2011 and needed more shortly thereafter that. It wasn't long after that we realized that it was taking too long for orders to get to our West Coast clients, so I opened a second location in California just to fulfill their needs a little bit faster. Then needle cartridges came onto the scene, so we started producing legacy needle cartridges in 2016 in an effort to stay with the leading edge of what's going on within our industry. Now we have the next evolution of cartridges, which is the Dynasty membrane cartridges. These cartridges help prevent backflow up into machines like pens and other things that are a little sketchy sometimes. So we want to make sure we're always on the cutting edge of what's needed in the business today. If you're a more traditional artist, we still have the needles on bars, coil machines, steel tubes, whatever you need for your business. If your style is a little more modern and you want to use rotaries, cartridges, 100% disposable, we got you covered. Please let us know whatever products are out there that we don't carry that you want. But understand this, I do not carry every product out there for reasons. I generally only carry products that I am using or willing to use. I won't sell something simply because it makes us money. We here at Needljig truly believe that our customer service is second to none, and we believe that simply because we hear it every day from our customers. Go ahead, give us a chance, find out for yourself. Everyone here at Needljig is obsessed with making a team better. We want your orders to go out on time, we want you to have the correct items, and we're always implementing new software and procedures to make sure that that happens. To be honest, this is not always easy because new products are coming in all day, every day, and the trends change on almost a daily basis. But we're up for that challenge. Being a tattooer myself, I want you to understand we will do everything within our power to make sure you have what you need at a fair price. I personally met a lot of shows around the country all year long. Feel free to come up, talk to me, introduce yourself. Give me your feedback. Let me know what matters to you. Just so you know, I don't plan on throwing out a lot of cheesy videos and asking for your money all the time. But if you like what we're putting out there, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks again. This is the stupid cheesy tagline on the end. Like, share, and subscribe.